Welcome to Women in the Arena podcast, the podcast celebrating women doing extraordinary things in plain sight. I'm your host, Audra Egan, and our mission is to elevate the value, strength, and resilience each woman brings to the world. Without further delay, let's go ahead and start the show. Welcome in, everyone, and thank you once again for joining me this week. This week, I am joined by Valerie Brown, who is the co-author of the new book, Healing Our Way Home. It's this really interesting, provocative story, or a collection of stories, I should say, about transformation. Valerie herself has transformed her entire life. She is a former attorney as well as lobbyist, and now she teaches leaders on how to be human-centric, lead with compassion, and make sure that everybody's voice is included in the room. It is my pleasure and my honor to introduce to you Valerie. Valerie, thank you so much for being here, and welcome to the show.
Audra, it's a pleasure to be here.
We don't have much time today because your publicist keeps a tight clock, so I'll make us move quickly. What inspired you to write this book? First of all, I should back up and say, what is Heal Our Way Home? What is that?
That's a great place to begin. So we live in a beautiful and a needful body and a beautiful and needful planet. And the healing is ongoing, of the planet, of our bodies. And so many of us think healing is only about from sickness to wellness. But healing is really a manifestation of living a life of resilience, rebalancing, prioritizing what's really important, because we can't do everything. And so when we look at our lives and we look at what really matters, and we put those things ahead of, the others, we say yes to those things, that's healing. And we're already on our way home to ourselves. So this idea of coming home, one of the things that the Surgeon General said in a stunning report a few years ago, even before COVID-19, was that in America, and actually I would say probably worldwide, that we're facing an epidemic of loneliness, where people lack a sense of connectedness, belonging, a sense that they have a home, a true home in themselves, which is the first place to have a sense of connectedness, to feel connected to your very self, our own emotions, our body, and our mind. And then a sense of feeling home in the world, like we belong. I belong here. And that feeling of loneliness is really pervasive in our culture for many, many reasons. Certainly the use of electronic devices, smartphones, creates a lot of sense of isolation. And I could go on, I won't, but I think you get the picture. So this is really what Healing Our Way Home is about.
Well, as you were speaking, I was thinking of the words that you were using, of re-examining, reprioritizing, really considering where we are. That describes most of my audience. That is actually one of the reasons why I created this show, is because I was there doing the very same thing and looking for connection. I didn't realize that I was lonely because I didn't know what I was longing for. I didn't know what I was missing. And what I was missing was a sense of self. And that is the feedback that I have received from my audience, that's what they were also missing as well. And you just very poignantly focus on that and went, you know what? this is not just you. It's not just you, Audra. It's not just your audience. It's everybody. But
Yeah.
so is that what inspired you to get together with your two co-authors to write a manuscript on
Mhm.
how to find yourself back to home, which is your first home,
Yeah.
yourself?
Yeah. Certainly, that experience of being isolated from myself was part of the motivation to write the book. So, a little bit about my personal background. As you described, I began as, like before I knew who I was. I passed the New Jersey bar exam in 1983. Like, I had no idea, like, who am I? What am I? I just did it. And mainly because I was on the run. I was running from poverty, running from violence. I grew up in Brooklyn, and Brooklyn was not the swanky place it is today. It was a place people wanted to like leave. And so I was all about like making money and getting out of Brooklyn. And I'm not proud of that. That was, quite crass. And so I was very much on the run. I was on the run from myself, run on the run from a sense of purpose or my own identity, and really hyper focused on achievement, on being the quote unquote successful lawyer. And all the while, like many of the people in your audience, I was feeling something's not right here. Something's not right. And one day I was in my brother's apartment in New York, and we were just sitting around. He opened the New York Times, the newspaper, and there was a photograph of Thich Nhat Hanh, this Vietnamese Zen master, master of mindfulness meditation. He happened to be giving a talk at the Riverside Church, which was just down the street from where we lived. And so my brother, Trevor, knew absolutely nothing about Buddhism. He knew absolutely nothing about Thich Nhat Hanh, but he knew a lot about me. I had become the type A, hyper aggressive lawyer. And he said, "Why don't you go down and listen to this guy?" And I did. And I walked out of there, I have to say, skeptical, because I thought, wow, everything he was saying was about love and compassion. And I thought, if he's right, what have I done? And so there was a lot of skepticism, but a, a nerve was touched. And I realized something was there in what this man had said. So I started practicing meditation, actually as a closet meditator, because at that time in 1995, it was not acceptable. Not acceptable as a Black person, not acceptable as a lawyer. And so I hid it. And by day, I'd be in my business suit, lobbying in the halls of Congress. And at night and on weekends, I'd be practicing meditation. And of course, over time, this led to a kind of identity crisis. In fact, people would say to me all the time, "Gee, you don't seem like a lawyer." And then I realized they're right. Who am I? And then the journey started.
It is one of your stories included in this book. I
Yeah.
know that there's several stories of transformation included in this book, and yours is just one of them.
Yes, mine is one of them. And I tell in greater detail about the transformation, what happened.
And you are now an ordained minister, correct?
I'm a Buddhist Dharma teacher, and I'm also a Quaker. I'm a member of the Religious Society of Friends.
How do those two coexist in the same space? I mean, those seem completely opposite, but there's got to be some synergy there. I just don't see it immediately.
Yeah, people often say that, but they're really quite They're really quite connected, as are most things in life. So the coming to become a member of the Religious Society of Friends was also like a mistake, kind of stumbling upon it. One day I went to a retreat in way out in New Mexico in a 25,000 acre ranch. And the woman leading the retreat happened to be from the Philadelphia area where I lived. And she was a Quaker. And so we got talking and she said, "Oh, you live in Philadelphia. That's the epicenter of Quakerism." And when she began to talk about Quakerism, I could see the connection between the Quakers' testimony or beliefs in equality and simplicity and peace. All of these aligned so beautifully with Buddhist faith and practice. So I became curious and I started to attend these Quaker meetings. And what I found was a lot of overlap. And for just as an example, the Quaker testimony on equality very much aligns with the Buddhist philosophy and Buddhist teachings on, on equality and equanimity and non-discrimination. So there are many, many parts of alignment, though at face glance, it might seem like these are polar opposites.
They do. It makes me curious as to go and read about each one of these because these are subjects I would never even consider because they just seem so out there. But you are a person that is now more at home in your own body. You're more comfortable in your own skin, and you're teaching other leaders to lead from that place of compassion and empathy and seeing people as people rather than assets or employees. Uh,
Mm.
what has been some of the greatest results in your teachings of that style of leadership?
Really appreciate that question, Audra. So I would say there are a couple of things. The first, for anyone in the workplace or for anyone in life, focus is incredibly important. If we're going to lead a life that's meaningful and purposeful in any way, or just to get stuff done, we need to be able to focus. We need to be able to sift through the myriad of eye candy and distractions. We live with continuous partial attention, with our attention being moved from thing to thing to thing to thing. And so to be able to gather our attention and say, no, this is really important. I'm going to give my effort, my attention to this. That's huge. Focus is considered the new IQ today. And in the business world, it's a power skill. I'm about ready to lead a 11-month cohort of women in big law, meaning in big international law firms. And the program that I'm going to be teaching them is on how to focus. So that's one skill. The next skill that we talk about in the book as well is listening. And this is another skill I'll be teaching in this program. Listening is hugely underrated, right? And it's undervalued and overlooked. And typically we're listening for rebuttal, we're listening for disagreement, as opposed to listening to make a connection or to understand another person. If you really want to shift and transform your life, business life, or home life, it is learning how to listen. And I think that was one of the greatest things that I learned as a lobbyist. I shifted my way of listening to an adversary from trying to convince the person that they are wrong to trying to understand their point of view. That shift alone changed the whole dynamics of the relationship. I was I had greater ability to influence and then to build trust. And so to be able to listen to another person, not motivated by some asset, but motivated by true understanding, to really want to understand this other person's point of view, whether that's a child or whether that is, um, a CEO. People feel that. Maya Angelou had this wonderful saying that people forget what you said, they forget what you did, but they never forget how you made them feel. And people can feel that. They can feel when they're being listened to.
So the focus and the listening sounds like they are two components of the cure to loneliness.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And these are skills that have been compromised because we live in such a digital world. We walk around with our heads down, our bodies hunched over, and the sense of connectedness. Many of us live alone. Our nightly companion are, you know, Netflix. And so it's it's very much a tragedy. I live in that world myself. As a single person, I have to make a conscious effort to catch myself over and over again. So I'm not talking about something in a rarefied place. I'm talking about what as a practice, I take on every day.
Valerie, I wish we had way more time because I could talk to you for hours about this because I am fascinated by the work that you do. But I want to give you an opportunity to do two things. One, I want to give a moment with you and the audience alone so you can have an intimate moment directly with them so you can leave them with a final thought that they can take with them throughout the day.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. One of the things that I love to share with your audience is a small meditation. And it's in the Plum Village tradition, we call this Agatha, Gath, Agatha. It's a way of grounding and centering ourselves. And we can use this when we're in the midst of craziness, when we're very busy. We don't have to wait until things calm down. So we begin just by coming home to ourselves. So feeling our feet on the ground and aligning the body. So stacking the head over the shoulders and the shoulders over the hips and the knees over the feet. And feeling the length and the depth of the body, the back and the sides of the body. And from collarbone to collarbone. So feeling our whole dignity. And then taking a deep breath in. And to a count of 3, slowly releasing the out breath. So breathing in, and then slowly on a count of 3, releasing the out breath. And maybe twice more like that, breathing in and slowly releasing the out breath. And here's the Gatha. And you can repeat this to yourself. I am home. I have arrived. I am home. I have arrived. I am solid. I am free. I am solid. I am free. In the here and in the now. In the here and in the now. In the ultimate, I dwell. In the ultimate, I dwell. So thank you.
That was beautiful. Thank you. I'm going to rewind that back, and I think I might record it for myself to take it throughout the day. So thank you.
You're so
Where where can we reach you if we want more information about you, and where can we access the new book?
Thank you. You can reach me on my website, which is valeriebrown.us. That's valeriebrown.us. I'd love to hear from those in your audience. My sweet spot is working with women and particularly women of color. And I would be delighted to hear from your audience. The book is Healing Our Way Home, and the subtitle is Black Buddhist Teachings on Ancestors' Joy and Liberation, and it's available everywhere and from Parallax Press. That's Parallax Press.
I will make sure all of that information is in the show notes. Please reach out to her. Please go and research this. She is a delight, and I think that this would be nothing but additive to your lives. Valerie, thank you so much for being here with me today. I truly appreciate it.
Audra, it's been a delight and a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to all of you for listening. And we'll see you again next time.
This is just the beginning.
That's our show. I am so grateful for each and every one of you and your unwavering support and your continued belief in this movement that has become much bigger than me, much bigger than just a podcast. It has become this forward momentum that we are all doing together. If you are ready, or you know somebody that is ready to tell your story and share your value with the world, please connect with me. You can reach me at audra@womeninthearena.net. I am so honored and thankful that you will share your story with me, and I'll make sure that it is well taken care of. I will never stop thanking each and every one of you, and I cannot wait to talk to you again next week as we share another woman's story and we celebrate her doing extraordinary things in plain sight. We'll see you next time.